News Talk 760 WJR. Online, the great voice of the Great Lakes when you want it. The Frank Beckmann Show.
Just one look, and I felt so hard.
Isn't our engineer clever, Cindy Crawford? That's Anna's
I'm like, wait,
idea.
oh, I know what this is from.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I promised everybody I would say this. I had a talk with my wife last night, and I told her all about us. That you were going to be here today.
And you're breaking this on the radio?
No, all the guys were jealous when they heard you were going to be here, and so I'm sure you saw them out in the hallway, which happens to you only for the last 30 years.
Yeah, 30.
Not quite 30.
20.
I'm sorry.
A good 20, though.
Good 20.
Absolutely.
What is that like?
What part of it?
Well, I mean, everywhere you go, every male recognizes you, and I mean, you're one of the most recognizable people in the world. Not to mention one of the most beautiful.
Well, thank you. You know, I guess because I've been doing it for so long now, that's just my life. That's how I know it. I don't know different. It wasn't like overnight success where it changed and I realized it. I mean, really, since I'm 20, it was like, I think, my first Vogue cover, and that's kind of what puts you on the map in terms of the world of fashion.
Yeah, your kids are what, 7 and 5?
Yeah.
And do they know it? Do they know all about what their mom has done?
You know, they're just starting to figure out, you know, like, why are we in magazines, you know, or why are paparazzi following us?
Do they still do that?
Yeah. And, you know, we live in Malibu, and there's one little, it's called the Malibu Country Mart, and there's always paparazzi there because they know they're going to get somebody. And, you know, my kids, they don't like it. It's a little intimidating, especially, I think, when you're only a few feet tall.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, they're trying to, why are they taking pictures of us and not other people? And I don't really know how you explain that.
Well, we have our own paparazzi here, Tim Wesner, who's our IT guy.
He's very intimidating.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yes.
Now, you're in town with Art Van Furniture promoting a new line of furniture.
Yes.
How did you get involved in that?
Well, a couple years ago, actually about 3 or 4 years ago, I was approached by another furniture retailer in the Southeast called Rooms to Go to do a furniture line. And it wasn't like, oh, wow, gosh, yeah, that makes total sense to me. I mean, I love decorating my own homes, and I've moved several times over the years and upgraded, you know, as my career's gone well.
Yeah.
So I love doing that, but it wasn't like, you know, doing Revlon or something like that makes sense. I'm a model. I should do cosmetics. Yeah. But I went and looked at the stores and looked at the kind of product that I could do and at the value that I could provide for people. And I went into this, you know, kind of dipping my toes, and it just took off. And I love the product that we're able to do. And Art Van was aware of the success that we had down in the Southeast, and they said, can we start carrying it? And it's, you know, we've been there already out, I think, for a couple months, but yesterday was the big, you know, my launch there. I met with customers and signed autographs, and it's being received very well.
Is it all high-end stuff? Or?
I mean, no. I mean, it's quality, it's value, but it's very, I think it's very well priced. And again, you can do that because we do a lot of quantity. So, you know, the more you do, that you can pass that savings on to your consumer. So it's value. And it's not one specific style. You know, we really try to have something for everybody. And because I'm a family person, you know, we try to think, how do families live? You know, great family room sets.
Well, you're going to have kids jumping on the couch. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Our denim sofa has slip cover. So, you know, because I want my children to enjoy my house too. I don't want to have a room where the kids aren't allowed.
See, that's what I was wondering. I think of big Hollywood celebrities as having this palace, and it's all for show and Better Homes and Gardens and very sterile. But if you've got 7 and 5-year-olds, you can't have that.
No, and my house is not like that at all. I mean, in fact, usually we're barefoot because we do live at the beach. And I always say my house is a no coaster household because I don't want that preciousness. I mean, I want it to be beautiful, but I also always say that I want a blind person to enjoy my house so that it should smell good and the texture and of the fabric should be nice. Or there's a table where you want to set your teacup.
Yeah.
All those things are what make a house a home.
Well, didn't you do a TV show about style for a while?
I did. It was called House of Style, but oddly, it had nothing to do with homes. It was
didn't.
On MTV, and it was a takeoff on, in fashion they call like a house of Dior is like Christian Dior's
Right.
fashion house.
Right.
So it was House of Style, and we really showcased designers and also kind of rock stars and their style. So I went shopping with a lot of rock stars on that
Did you
show.
give them advice?
We mostly just had fun. It was, it was quirky and fun, and it took the only fashion that had really been on TV prior to that was Elsa Clench, which was great, but it was very intimidating fashion, and we kind of brought it younger, more street music, more fun.
Yeah. You have a Midwest background. You grew up where? DeKalb, Illinois? Is
I
that
did.
right? And is it true that a local photographer took a picture of you at a state fair chucking corn or something?
Wow, that's the myth part. Let's see.
Okay, tell us the
The
truth.
reality is that I did work in cornfields. Pretty much every high school kid in my town did, because that was your summer job. But I was never photographed doing that, or at least that I know of. But the local photographer, like he worked for the local paper. He shot everything from parades to homecoming to a fire. He photographed me, which actually, it was so weird. At the event last night, one of the guys standing in line had my very first picture of me in a bikini at my boyfriend at the time at his parents' house pool.
No
I mean,
way.
it was hilarious. Like, my hair had been all set on hot curlers. And I was showing the people that I was with, I'm like, this is my very first picture. And then I found out that my sister is friends with this guy, and she actually sent it to him to embarrass me at the signing last night. But he is the one who kind of first recognized that maybe I would photograph, in a way that maybe I could have a career modeling. But it wasn't an overnight success. I went to modeling agencies in Chicago. My very first ad was for Marshall Fields, a bra ad. I worked for Sears. I did all the catalog and all that stuff.
So you were just another pretty face at the time.
Yeah, and then I went to New York, and then that's kind of when it really happened.
Why did you give up college? Because you went to Northwestern, I understand, on an academic scholarship for chemical engineering, right?
Yeah.
And you went for one quarter and said, you were the valedictorian of your high school class.
Yeah.
Perfect 4.0 grade point average.
Yeah.
So you're very smart.
I was.
What do you mean you were?
I keep saying I used to be smart. It was a really hard decision because I had worked very hard I knew to go to a good school because my parents financially were not able to, send me to Northwestern. I knew I had to get a scholarship. And that had been my goal all through high school. But I, kind of fell into this modeling thing. And my freshman year of college, I was trying to model in Chicago and do school. And Northwestern is not, a piece of cake, especially in chemical engineering. And it just, I could see myself like going to crash and burn because I was, burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
And I had to choose, and I knew modeling wouldn't wait, and I knew I could go back to school. As it turned out, it kind of turned out okay. Like,
I'd say it did.
But it's
But
still,
at the time, it's a frightening decision.
It was.
I mean, your parents are going to be saying, "You're going to give up what? To
yes.
have your picture taken?"
Yeah, and for my dad, he really thought modeling was another word for the oldest profession. He didn't. He thought it was another word for prostitution. He was like, modeling. The only models I know are working girls. So it was a little bit of a stretch for them, but it was a roll of the dice, and it worked.